Hey there everyone, and today I want to talk to you about not letting the numbers of likes, views, interactions on your social media dictate your behaviour. So I've been in this content creation business for a while now, but going back way before that, I actually grew up struggling with body dysmorphia and an eating disorder. And this might sound like a really bizarre link, but I actually have made a connection between body dysmorphia and social media addiction, looking at the numbers, letting the numbers basically dictate the way that I act. Now, the thing is, when I first got body dysmorphia, or first discovered I had body dysmorphia, I was in the process of losing weight, and I would weigh myself on a regular basis. And at first, those numbers became a data point. That was it. That was all it was. They were a data point. There was no emotion attached. In fact, if anything, if there was emotion attached, because things were going in the right direction, it was a positive emotion. So it became one of those things that I started getting a lot of positive feedback from, seeing the data from, and it helped keep me motivated and keep me moving forward. The problem with this is what happens on the days when the data is not going in the right direction. For me, that would lead to more weighing myself, more measuring myself, basically stepping on those scales multiple times in a day, a lot of multiple times in a day, in the strange hope that next time I step on them, some sort of miraculous thing would have happened and the numbers would have gone in the direction that I wanted them to. But outside of that, it began to dictate my behavior. So if there was a day where I didn't quite reach the goal that I was after, I would go in one of two directions. I would either want to quit, or I would get desperate and push harder and maybe make some pretty poor choices in that process. Now, if we look at social media, a similar sort of thing happens, only we actually get this positive data point thing at first as the numbers are on their way up. And if we were to all go into social media and just have this nice, smooth, linear, upward slope on our interactions, our likes, every post we did got a little bit more, every video we put up got a little bit more, probably be perfectly happy for like forever. Unfortunately, we've all seen that meme of the whole what we think progress looks like and it's a straight line, what it actually looks like and it's a jagged edge, it's all over the place. And that is way much more close to the truth. I honestly thought that when I got into Twitch, the numbers were going up. They were going up slower than I wanted to, but they were going up. It was on a nice upward curve. And from there, I genuinely thought I will never, ever, ever need to turn my viewers off, because this is great. Seeing those viewers go up just motivates me, makes me feel great in the same way that seeing those numbers go down on the scales did back when I was trying to lose weight. But again, the problem with all of this is that then when the numbers don't go in the direction that you want them to, first off, we start checking more regularly. And, put your hand up if that's affected you. We start checking more regularly, as if, again, going back to those statistics is going to suddenly give you the answer that you wanted. It didn't give me the answer I wanted at 10:04 a.m, but it might give me the answer I wanted at 10:06. I might actually log in. You kind of get like almost this, this gambler's high of the person who's going for the scratch card. Next time I refresh this page, this could be the one, this could be the one, this could be the one. And the more you invest in it, the worse you actually feel. And the ironic thing is, we're obviously going back to those stats to try and get reassurance, but the reassurance never comes, so we keep going back to the stats over and over and over again, and it becomes an almost obsessive behavior. Now again, just like with the weight loss, it would either cause me to get despondent or desperate. That'd be it. That'd be the two results. If that weight didn't go in the direction I wanted it to, I would get despondent and want to give up, or I would get desperate and maybe in unethical ways try and push forward. And if I'm perfectly honest, I feel the exact same pull when the numbers don't go in the direction that I want to on social media. If the post didn't get the likes I was hoping for, or if my stream isn't getting the number of viewers I was hoping for, then I can either get despondent, which means don't want to do this anymore, feel like I want to give up, what's the point, or I can get desperate. And then desperate leads into, right, well, what posts can I do now that can draw in people's attention? And sometimes it's not even about making a post that'll draw in people's attention. Sometimes it's just a case of going back to Twitter to just get a little bit of extra engagement. Let's get a little bit of extra engagement because, you know, every little bit helps. Get that hustle, get that grind, get that networking, do all of that, do all of that, do all of that. And, you know, if we do all of that, then we'll get the result that we want. And so we work that bit harder and we get that bit more desperate. And unfortunately, we end up not getting the result that we're actually looking for. Sometimes you get a little bit of a bump, but more often than not, the amount of effort and work that you put into this now doesn't actually correlate with a reward coming out of it, because the desperate effort isn't always your best work. It's not the best work that you're putting out there. It's not the best video, the best stream, or the best tweet that you're putting out there. That desperation actually has almost a negative impact because people see it, don't really interact with it. You check your stats again, doesn't have the impact that you wanted it to, and we're back at square one. So what can we do about this? Well, the first step is actually acknowledging it and being aware that it is actually there. If any of what I've said so far resonates with you, that those feelings are there and you're checking those stats over and over again in the hope that something will have changed, but you always end up feeling even more miserable, then it's worth acknowledging that, noticing the fact that it's there and taking a bit of ownership of it. Once we've done that, what I would actually suggest is reducing the amount of times, deliberately reducing the amount of times that you actually look at those stats. If you can, don't look at them whatsoever. But the vast majority of us as content creators out there, we do want that long-term growth. But if we're looking at long-term growth through a magnifying glass up close every few minutes, we're not actually seeing what we want to see, and it's going to distort our idea of what we're getting. So it's not a great place to be making those decisions from. The bizarre thing with this is that the more you check those stats, the more you will want to check those stats. It doesn't ever scratch the itch, but the less you check those stats, once you get over that initial kind of habit-breaking moment, the less you're actually going to feel compelled to. It becomes much easier to check those stats less and less, the less you do it. Whereas it becomes more and more difficult to check them less, the more you do it. And if it is something like Twitch, switch your viewer count off. People have been telling me this for months now. And again, because it was going in the right direction, I was like, no, I'll never need to do that. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel motivated. I come from a background in music, and we used to have a principle of if you're in a room, you're given a gig to just one person, you treat it like it's a packed room. And as a result, that one person's going to really enjoy themselves. And if that one person really enjoys themselves, then they might come back next time. Whereas if that one person kind of feels like you just dialed it in, they're not going to come back next time. Now, with a gig, couldn't exactly just put like a screen print of a screaming audience in front of us and pretend that there's more than that one person there. But if you don't know how many people are there, and you can just pick a number in your head and roll with it, bring the energy that you would for 20 to 2. What you're going to actually find is that those 2 people that watch that enjoy it, feel valued. They'll probably know how many people are in there, and they'll be pretty amazed at the fact that you've actually gone all out for the 2 of those people that are in there. But if you treat the 2 like you would the 22 or the 222, if you're up at those kind of numbers, then you're actually going to end up building what you actually wanted to anyway. And one last tip that will actually help you to do this, because I've gone from the position of giving seminars face-to-face in a room full of people where I get immediate visual feedback of how they are doing, to now looking directly at a camera and seeing only a very bizarre version of my reflection in a lens. I look at that camera and I imagine, instead of looking at that camera, I'm looking at one of those smiling audience members that's really vibing with what you're doing. I imagine that that positive feedback I'm looking for is there. And the cool thing is, I don't have the opposite there to say it isn't, you know? If I was in a real room full of 30 people, I could look around and I could get a mixed bag between people who are nodding along, enjoying their time, other people that are like, sat there, scrunched up, you know, holding themselves tightly, looking like they couldn't give 2 craps about being in the room. Our brains don't separate fact from fiction. So if you're imagining that there's nobody out there listening, or the people that are have just got you on lurk in the background and aren't paying attention, then you're going to actually act like that. But if you imagine that the people are out there holding on, hanging on to your every word and enjoying everything that you've got to say, you'll find it so much easier to give them the entertainment and the performance that they're actually looking for. As always, I hope this has helped, and there are links in the description below of ways that you can interact with me further. The one I would love to point out to you is twitch.tv/mindsetbydave, where you can go a little bit deeper with me. I am completely and utterly open and honest and transparent about the journey that I am on, taking my own journey alongside helping other people take theirs. I'd love to go a little bit deeper with you, and I'll see you down there.